What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Before we get out of here, let's get to these mailbag questions. First question. With Rui improving with more minutes this season, what would your five-man lineup be for the Lakers? I like Rui offensively alongside the starters, but defensively, the team looks mismatched on positions 1 through 3, with Reeves being forced to be the point of attack defender, D'Lo being a bad defender overall, and Rui struggling to guard quicker wings. Love the show. And also, who's your favorite under 25 player to watch this season? Okay, so when it comes to the Lakers, everything's got to be matchup dependent because they don't have a traditional, 3-and-D type of guy on the wing that they can throw at the other team's best player at the opening tip, and he can coherently function in the offense. Everything has to be matchup dependent. And so there will be matchups where it's like, okay, we can't get away with Rui at the 3 because we're playing, Dallas and we need someone to throw at Kyrie Irving, or we're playing Golden State, we need someone to throw at Steph Curry, or we're playing Sacramento, we need someone to throw at De'Aaron Fox. We need a quicker guard that can defend on the perimeter. Okay, now that might be Max Christie, right? Or this is a bigger lineup that doesn't run a ton of off-ball screening action, and that 3 spot is going to be more in a help and recover situation. Okay, Rui makes a ton of sense here. Or like, okay, this particular team, we're really struggling with their defense. We need to find a way to space them out a little bit better. And we feel like on the offensive end of the floor, maybe we can do more switching and just kind of contain the basketball. Okay, maybe Spencer Dinwiddie is our option here at the 3. It all has to be matchup based, and that's where a lot of it comes down to Darvin Ham. And what specifically scares me on that front is like he just has a default option to go to Taurean Prince. And we saw that at the end of the first half yesterday against the Jazz when he takes Rui out of the game, goes to Taurean at the 4 alongside 3 guards, and the Lakers immediately give up a run. So do I trust Darvin to kind of toe that line properly? No, not really. But it's something that he's going to have to figure out to for lack of a better term. And honestly, like, this is where the Jared Vanderbilt injury is just going to be the biggest swing factor for the Lakers this year. I don't think they have any chance to win the title unless they can get Jared Vanderbilt back into the lineup and moving as well as he was before the injury. Don't have a ton of time, so on the under 25 player to watch this season, I'll say for me personally, Anthony Edwards. He's just been a ton of fun to watch as he's kind of figured out and not just how to play in this league at his position, but also just some of the confidence stuff that we're seeing from him. Hi, Jason. Greetings from Australia. You have the best NBA content. Keep it up. Thank you for the kind words. Who is your MVP if you had a vote as of now? I feel like Giannis is getting overlooked this season due to the coaching change and distractions going on at the Bucks. He is on pace to be the first player to average over 30 points per game on 60% field goals, while also averaging over 1 steal and block per game. So I saw the straw poll the other day that had Jokic way in the lead. And for the record, I don't think there's a gap there. I think that Giannis and Nikola Jokic have been the 2 best players in the regular season, and I don't think there's a wrong answer either way. I would probably lean Giannis because I think Giannis has been cleaning up more messes this year, and I think Giannis has brought more consistent effort this year than Nikola Jokic. And I haven't really thought too much about MVP this year, but I see your point, and I would probably lean slightly toward Giannis, but I do think that Jokic is every bit as much in that equation. And there's one thing I saw on Twitter yesterday that I do think is true, which is like someone said something along the lines of like the media or Jokic has the media in his stronghold. And there's some truth there. Like, I love Nikola Jokic. I think he's the best player in the world by like a comfortable margin. I think he's significantly better at basketball than Giannis Antetokounmpo personally, even though I think Giannis may be having a better regular season. But there's no doubt that in large part because a large portion of the media relies on advanced metrics, like these catch-all metrics, like they actually believe that to be like a significant element in these kinds of discussions. I personally disagree, but they do. And so between that and just a lot of the momentum that was behind Jokic when he was kind of rising in 2019, 2020, there's just a ton of media support for Nikola Jokic. It's just a fact. And it's very possible that he kind of racks up an unprecedented amount of MVPs because of that. He's just the perfect type of guy to sway the modern MVP voter. But to me, it's kind of a toss-up, lean slightly towards Giannis at this point in time. Next question. Who do you think is the perfect starting lineup you could build around Wemby? Kind of like how Denver built for Jokic. So Wemby's a little bit on the thin side, so I kind of lean towards a big, strong forward, similar to what I've been talking about for the Thunder as well. So just imagine a Aaron Gordon, Lauri Markkanen type of archetype at the 4. And then from there, I think having legitimate ball handling on the perimeter that can put Wemby into spots as a screen and pop, screen and roll guy is huge. And so, for instance, like, I'm not the biggest Trae Young fan in the world, but like it actually does make some sense to partner him in San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama. Trae's still relatively young. He's the ideal screen and roll partner. You can imagine in a switching scheme, he would just be able to beat those a lot easier than the pick and roll partners that Trae Young has had over the years. And then if I wanted to craft an achievable defensive role for Trae Young, it would be in a system where Victor Wembanyama is on the back line. So that's where I'd lean in that direction. Next question. What do you think was the key to the transformation of the Timberwolves this season? Given that their personnel was similar to last season, how did Chris Finch unlock the Rudy and Cat pairing? So a couple different things. Continuity is a big part of it, just sticking with the same lineup for a long time. The Wolves were actually kind of picking up steam towards the end of last season. I thought they were one of the most impressive teams over the final third on the defensive end of the floor. Now, not all of that was with both bigs on the floor, but there was a lot of that in there as well. Then I thought they gave a good fight to the Lakers in the play-in game. Then who did they kick the shit out of? It was the Thunder, right? And then they had an impressive showing against the Nuggets. So I think some of this did start last year. But then, like, I think the second big piece of it that just needs to be acknowledged is Anthony Edwards is just getting better. Anthony Edwards is a future superstar that is on the rise in the league, and he's just a lot better than he was at this point in the season last year, and that goes a long way towards elevating the ceiling of this Timberwolves team. And I think just in general, there's been a really good commitment to, like, a championship level commitment to the details from day one of training camp. A few more. Hey, Jason, you may have already answered this in the past, but do you see yourself getting to a production point where you'll have some of these plays you speak about playing in the corner while you talk about them? And when you talk about these stats, having a top 5 list pop up, etc. I love the show, by the way. Haven't learned so much. I mean, completely changed how much or how I watch basketball in the best way. Again, thank you so much for the kind words and for supporting the show. I have told my superiors many times that is a goal of mine, to have more play animations on the screen, graphics, things along those lines. We are working on it. It's just the volume's growing really fast, and we're still figuring out some of that stuff behind the scenes. I promise you it will eventually happen. We just kind of have to figure it out. There is to give you an idea, to have plays on the screen, it's a lot more labor intensive than you would think. And so we are going to figure that out. It's just taking some time. And again, every time I have an opportunity to kind of pitch that to the higher ups, I do so. So in time, again, like, I'm sure this show will look markedly different from a production standpoint when we get, a few years into the future, and we'll see when we get there. Next question. Hey, Jason, love your videos. I was wondering if you could explain the Warriors' struggles with maintaining leads throughout the season. I'm not sure if this is a Warriors specific issue, as it happens a lot around the league, but seems especially prevalent with Golden State throughout the season. How or why is it that Golden State can never seem to protect a lead? Thank you for all you do and keep up the great work. Again, thanks for supporting the show. I really, really appreciate you guys. And as I've said, with all the negativity that I see in the comments, sometimes, like, this stuff just outweighs it every single time. And every single time I read through the comments, it's always a overwhelmingly positive experience because of people like you. So what's interesting is the eye test would tell you, like, oh, when Steph can't make hero shots, they just don't have another option they can go to score. But the reality is Steph has been making so many of the hero shots that they've still been pretty good offensively. They've been okay offensively in the clutch. They've been okay offensively in the half court setting, according to Cleaning the Glass, or hovering around that, like, 10 mark in both of those areas. But in general, fourth quarter offense, I think they're like 6th, which is pretty good. So, like, the offense actually by points per possession has been pretty solid. It's been the defense. They're the very worst fourth quarter defense in the league. Like, they're just the very worst. They give up over 120 points per 100 possessions. And so, for whatever reason, just like we saw last night against the Clippers, their point of attack defense falls apart. They end up in rotation, and they just can't get stops when it matters. That's been the big one that has been very clearly evident in the numbers as we get to the end of these games. All right, 2 more, and then we're out of here. This was just a funny comment from a Celtics fan. Waxed the net by 50 and not a peep as expected. I literally just covered the last two Celtics wins against the Hawks and against the Heat. I didn't cover the Nets because the Nets are garbage and they just traded away some guys at the deadline. They're just not very good anymore. So, I wouldn't cover the Celtics beating the Nets for the same reason I wouldn't cover the Celtics beating the Pistons. But we've done just a shit ton of Celtics content over the last week. And so I encourage you Celtics fans to go back and look through the channel, and you'll see it there if you look. All right, last question. What's the win-loss record when Steph is pushing and playing hero ball and putting up over 30 shots? Curious because it seems like they lose more than they win in those situations. Seems Steph is trying to get clutch player of the year. So I looked earlier. I think they're 0-3 when he takes at least 30 shots. They're 3-8 when he takes 24 or more shots. But I don't think that has anything to do with Steph Curry and chasing clutch player of the year or anything like that. Like, they need him to shoot. They do not have reliable offense down the stretch of these games. Like Kuminga Kuminga's got the sky's the limit for Kuminga, but he's not a half court surgeon yet. Andrew Wiggins is super inconsistent. Klay Thompson is super inconsistent. Brandon Podziemski's a rookie. They don't have a guy that they can really go to as a secondary option. It's the main reason why I don't think this Warriors team has like a big championship opportunity. They have a small championship opportunity. They're a long shot, just like the Lakers, but I don't view them as like a significant championship threat because they lack that secondary shot creation. And again, like to me, I think Steph putting up a ton of shots is the formula. And as I've talked about, in the earlier mailbag question, it's not the offensive end that's been the problem. They've been a good offense, despite the fact that they don't have secondary shot creation, because Steph is still one of the very best offensive players in the league. To me, it comes down to that defensive end of the floor.